Well, at least this week wasn't as hectic as last week. Let's have a chat. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be doing my weekly update and I'll be combining it with my March TBR so I can reveal to you all what I'm going to be reading next month. But as to what happened this week, not a great deal. A couple of things. The most interesting thing that happened earlier in the week was a botched parcel delivery, which I'll tell you all about it. It's a funny story, but it wasn't funny at the time. I nearly hulked out and destroyed my library in the process in my frustration, but no, only kidding. It was a very disappointing experience. What happened was I ordered a book through Book Depository. It was one of the Star Wars books, the first book in the Darth Bane trilogy called Path of Destruction. It's one of many books I want to sink my teeth into as I make my journey back into the Star Wars EU this year, which I'm really keen about. So anyway, the postie pulled up and put the parcel in my mailbox, and I raced out to get it in my excitement, expecting to open the book, the parcel, to reveal the Darth Bane book. But funny thing was, something didn't quite look right, and the parcel looked a little flat. So this is actually what arrived. Awfully thin, isn't it? It didn't contain a book, so it was open. You can see the flaps there that normally encase the book, and this part here is wrapped around the book and stuck down, but it's empty packaging, and the original seal hasn't even been broken to seal the book back. So the postie thought it was okay to drop in this flat package, and you can imagine my disappointment about that. I was quick to notify Book Depository with a please explain, and in the end, with a few email exchanges back and forth, they looked after me, and they're sending out a replacement book, which will hopefully arrive in the next couple of weeks. So all good there, but at the time, yeah, I was pretty disappointed. It was actually quite funny. When I opened the actual empty parcel, all that fell out was a couple of those free Book Depository bookmarks. So they just flooded to the floor, and I thought, oh god damn it. But it's all good, so I'll look forward to receiving that. But that was the first and the only time, I hope, that I ever experienced something like that. It was pretty ordinary. Alright, so what else did I do? I put out my review for No One Gets Alive by Adam Neville. A great read. I thoroughly recommend it if you haven't read it. It is spooky. It had all the goods. It was dark. It was violent. It was bloody. It was scary. There was a couple of scenes in the book where I had to look over my shoulder. It was really, really good. And with a 600-page book, it wasn't tedious at all. It didn't drag. The narrative pace was excellent. So if you haven't caught that video, please watch that. I'll put the link to the video at the end of this. What else happened now? So this week I finished a book by Mary Higgins Clark. This was purely picked up on a whim. I was trolling the internet, and she came up on my radar, and I've never read her before. I had heard of her before, and I thought, I'm just wanting to branch out a little bit with something a little more contemporary, and I thought I'll pick up one of her books just to see what they were like. So I decided to pick up a copy of The Crime Files, which is an omnibus bind-up edition containing 3 novels, including Daddy's Little Girl, I Heard That Song Before, and Where Are You Now. I really enjoyed Daddy's Little Girl. I think the writing was very good. The mystery was woven through various subplots and circumstances really well. It was about a 15-year-old girl who gets murdered in a small local town, and one of the local boys gets put away and gets convicted, but whilst in prison he vehemently maintains his innocence, and eventually, after about 23 years I think it is, he comes up for parole and is subsequently released. And much to the younger sister's disgust, who is in fact now an investigative reporter who doesn't take it sitting down, and digs back into the sordid history of this guy, and eventually the mystery is solved. But I think Mary Higgins Clark, how she weaves the subtle plot lines together and keeps you guessing until the end, was really, really well done. So picking it up just by happenstance, I thought no, it was really good, and I'm glad I did, because now I want to read a little bit more of her work. So there you go. Now, just on this book, I will let you know that I ripped through it in no time. It's actually got really large print there for my failing eyesight, and the pages just turned really quickly. So that was a good read this last week. Now, what else did I do? I read most of Side Jobs by Jim Butcher. This was week 4 of February Fantasy Stories, the project that was created by the Bookish Bryants. I've really enjoyed the project, and this will close out the project with the final week. And even though I didn't read all the stories in the collection, I read approximately 250 pages worth, which is the criteria for the project, with fantasy works at 250 pages or under. Now, the review for that will go up sometime next week. So what else did I do? So went second-hand book shopping on Friday. Both my wife and I had the day off, and we took off out of town to have a look around, and I poked my nose in a couple of bookstores. Unfortunately, didn't come back with anything really major, apart from a classic book that I do want to read this year, which is part of my 10 works of classic fiction that I want to read. And I picked this puppy up, a copy of The Odyssey by Homer. It's a translation by Peter Green, and there is lots of small words in this one, so I'm actually, to be honest, I'm a little bit intimidated, to say the least. But you know, I will sink my teeth into it. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and we'll see how that goes. Now, given that I'm recording this video a couple of days before the end of the month, and I'm currently in between books, I'm going to use the last couple of days to actually squeeze in The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. So I actually managed to pick up a copy of the Penguin Modern Classics version, which I really like those, with the duck egg blue or mint green spines. They're very well put together. They're easy to read. The words aren't too small for me, and look, it's only about 133 pages, so I should fit that in before the end of the month, which will be great. And been looking forward to reading that for quite a while. Haven't read it since I was in high school, and of course I remember vaguely the 1983 adaptation, which had all that cast before they turned into stars: Emilio Estevez, Tom Cruise, Patrick Swayze, C. Thomas Howell, and of course Ralph Macchio. So really looking forward to that. It's got this version's got a foreword by Jodi Picoult, or an introduction by Jodi Picoult, which is interesting, and just can't believe that S.E. Hinton was only 16 when she wrote this. It's just amazing, and has stood the test of time, obviously. So looking forward to that. Alright, so now what I'm going to go into is my March TBR. So after spending a little bit of time procrastinating and thinking of what I actually wanted to read, I've actually managed to come out with a list of 8 books. Now, the first one I'm going to show you, which is going to be digital, because I don't happen to have a physical copy of this, which, funny thing this, I'm going to read Night Chills by Dean Koontz. I'm actually planning on reading all of Dean Koontz's backlist over the next few years, and I have actually read the first 3. I've reviewed 2 of those novels, Shattered and Chase, which you can catch on the channel. And funny thing is, we've got, both my wife and I combined, we have the entire Dean Koontz collection, and we don't have a physical copy of Night Chills. We were sure we did. You know, my wife collected them avidly in the 90s through a book club, and can't for the life of us find it. So that read's going to have to be digital, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to reading that. Now, I'm going, because I mentioned earlier I enjoyed Daddy's Little Girl by Mary Higgins Clark. Because I enjoyed it so much, I am going to finish or read the 2 remaining novels in this bind-up. I've got it on loan from the library. I might as well make the most of it, and if these other 2 novels are anywhere near as good as Daddy's Little Girl, I'm in for a great ride, and we'll be seeking out more of Mary Higgins Clark's work. So there we go. Now, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to be doing Summer Night by Jim Butcher. I've been putting that off far too long. I do want to continue with the Dresden Files. I am going to complete and finish the Dresden Files this year. I've made that promise to myself, and yeah, it's going to be really good, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm also going to be reading, I think it's the 6th book, maybe the 6th book in the Peter James's Roy Grace series, Dead Man's Time. I've been putting this series off for a little while with other fantasy works that I've been reading and that sort of thing, but looking forward to getting back into the world of Roy Grace and seeing what case he solves next. So that is going to be good. Next I'll be doing a book called Saint Justice, which is the Christopher Wren series by Mike Grist. He's an author I haven't read before, but written in the same vein as Jack Reacher and John Milton. So he is a CIA Black Ops legend who solves, fights terrorists and all sorts of stuff, and fights computer crime and just all-out action. So I've got the first 3 books of the series, and I thought, well, it's high time I actually start this. So I'm looking forward to that. And what else have I got? Oh yeah, so I am starting my journey back into the Star Wars EU, and I have decided to start with Heir of the Empire by Timothy Zahn, which is the first volume of the Thrawn trilogy, which takes place after Return of the Jedi. Looking forward to getting stuck into that, and you can't wait. And I may even look at doing a vlog on this one and sharing my experience of what I think of the book as I'm reading it. So look out for that one. And finally, I actually have a Penguin Modern Classic here, which I'm really excited about. It's The Lottery and Other Stories by Shirley Jackson. Just have a look at that cover. It's just amazing. And again, the mint green spine for these editions, and yeah, it's one of the classics that are on my list to be read this year. So I have actually chosen 10 classics this year to read, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. So with going back into the Star Wars EU and branching out into classics, I'm looking forward to growing as a reader and really stepping out of my comfort zone. As I've mentioned in previous videos, my reading in the past has been very linear, and as I've mentioned, I've also got a buddy read for The Count of Monte Cristo coming up in August, I think it is, and that book is going to break records, because if I manage to get through it all, it will be the longest book I've ever read. So not a bad milestone, actually. I'm looking forward to ticking that one off the bucket list. So there you go, that's my weekly update and my March TBR. So I've got 8 books there ready to go, and I don't think it's a massive ask, considering that a couple of the books are a little bit shorter. I was going to plan on reading Gwendy's Final Task. The publisher has got a delay on that one. It was meant to arrive on the 22nd of Feb. It's now been pushed back to the 10th of March. I can download it digitally for about $16 if I want to. I'm just a little bit hesitant to rush in now that I've been watching some reviews online and on Goodreads, and what the book's like, and there's been mixed reviews. So I'm going to just wait a little bit more, and I believe I will put that on my April TBR at this stage. So I'm looking forward to it, but I haven't placed it as a priority at this stage. So there we go. What's coming up on the channel? I'll be doing my February wrap-up coming up very shortly. I'll be doing my review of side jobs for the February Fantasy Stories project. As always, please like and subscribe and offer any feedback in the comments, and I will respond to those. I will be, just one thing I forgot to mention, I will be doing my book of the month as part of my February wrap-up as well. So look out for that one, and let me know what you're going to be reading or whatever. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time, see you later.